What's going on, guys? RedWolfVion here with a new GBO2 suit overview. Today we'll be checking out the Zero Shiki. It's a general starting at 550 at level 1. Looking at the kit here, you can already see that it is very similar to the RedWolfVion Shiki that we did cover before this, but let's check into the weapons here. You have the Zero Shiki beam rifle. Now, this beam rifle is not the same as the Hayuku Shiki rifle as you see the Zero Shiki beam rifle. It does have normal fire rate. It's not that strong, but in order to get a knockback on someone, you do have to charge focus. The other two weapons you can equip are the clay bazooka and the clay bazooka shrapnel. For intents and purposes, we're going to roll the beam rifle in this. Melee, you have the Zero Shiki beam saber. Nothing to be happy about. It's General's Saber, all suits, just different name. Then you have your head-mounted Vulcans, which will act as your finisher offers if you need be, or to target people on the ground, run-ins. Of course, your knuckle sealant launcher is pretty neat, but has a long reload. You shoot it once and it kind of just staggers and slows your enemy. Jumping over to the skills, you see we have leg shock absorber level 3, which is actually pretty dope. We have emergency evasion level 1, is to be expected. Flight control program, which is really fun. It allows you to pretty much utilize your entire kit mid-air, so that's really useful in some cases, or depending on playstyles. High performance balancer, you have this in high spec and back are very nice, especially in space, but in this case on ground, you can land after jumps, and evasive maneuvers can be canceled with a melee or attack or tackle, and that's going to come into play down here, and you'll see that in a sec. Melee combo controller, force injector level 1, amazing. Quick boost level 2, that's really dope, especially if you want to start the match and get a thrust up somewhere. Now here we go, instant thruster precision system, reduces thruster consumption by 20% during tackle attacks. So essentially, instead of 100% of your meter being used, it's only use 80% worth of your thrust meter. So if you have nothing in your meter and you try to tackle, you're going to still have energy or thrust to actually evade, like hit that emergency evasion window. It's really neat. Wings special cushioning, reduces HP loss from wing damage by 15%, because if you haven't noticed, the suit has some binders on its back. Jumping over to some of the builds. So, the few times I've liked to run around in the suit, it varies what map or how many generals, how many supports, how many raids, and everything. But try these builds here. First, this is more of a melee up close build where I focused more on melee defense, and then I wanted to add a little bit of speed with high spec cruise control level 1 and a space frame level 2. You could probably swap a lot of these out, but to each your own, and you might want to give yourself a little bit more HP there. And as far as that, this would be a good chance to switch to bazooka rather than the beam rifle, so you can get an instant stun. So keep that in mind. You don't have the range per se as the bazooka, because the bazooka is like 350 and 300, while the beam rifle itself has 400 meters at level 1. Next build, usually this is it's not necessarily meant to melee your enemies, I was supposed to say, but this is more up close and personal defensive build here. You see, I focused on melee resistance with some beam resistance. You can always switch to beam and ballistic resistance as needed on what map you think you might occur and run into whatever suits. Followed by that, you want to give a little bit on your thrusters and maybe a little bit of HP. And try all that. But I think my favorite build right now, when I'm actually using the beam rifle here, you have some enhanced firing programs there, and then you have some auxiliary generators, just so if you run out of energy for your gun, it comes back about 4 seconds quicker, which that can actually make or break a fight. Then I have it followed up with high spec cruise control, thrust control systems, and ADCS, which again, these are just builds I like to play with. There might be other builds people like or try to use, but generally I will focus on either melee strength, range strength, or defenses in the builds with this suit. Alright, so just looking at the kit, if you looked at the Haiku Shiki kit, you'll know that the kit itself is similar outside of the main gun. It's very simplified, but looking at, you got your beam rifle here, it is very fast to recover, and it does a little chunk of damage over time, but if you get them about 3 shots, you will hit them with that stagger build-up accumulation. It's about 3 or 4 shots, you see here. And as far as your beam saber goes, you have your forward swipe, and then you have your left and right swipe, and then your down swipe. The down swipe itself is very cool. You don't have the really super cool kick, but it being a 2-hit is very, very satisfying, especially on enemies. Of course, you have your Vulcan here, and then you have your sealant. So using that also inflicts a stagger, so you can easily just capitalize off that. Again, it does have a long reload time, so be mindful of that. Now, as I was mentioning how this suit had level 2 flight control, whatever the skills that are in the game that allow you to do different things in the air is really dope, because you have some suits that can kind of trick their drop shots and like boost certain ways and directions and bait fights or bait attacks. It's really fun. I love to do it. Again, keep in mind that if you don't have enough thrust, you're going to have thrust very quickly, so you have to just kind of jump or just drop yourself off somewhere. When you run to the edge and drop, it's a good time to kind of bait attacks, because your enemy's going to think you're going to fall one way and you can quickly swap to the other side, and it's really, really dope. You'll see that you can change your direction super quick with this suit, so utilize that when it comes to going around corners and getting around your enemies. Also, which, if you remember me talking about the Strato Tackle skill, here you'll see that you can go to a tackle, and I still have some thrust left. You can see it's the yellow thrust, so essentially it's kind of like a backwards emergency evasion if you tackle with nothing, but again, it's very risky, and you see by default how slow it is to reside. But it's something that you should take into account, especially if you're fighting someone up close. You can go to tackle, and you can easily just evade after that if it's possible. You know, one thing to keep in mind when using the suit. Again, you notice I did mention that the beam rifle has a range of 400 meters, which is really good. 550, you just be careful, because that's where other general suits start coming in doing crazy stuff. But this suit's defenses are not bad. There might be other suits that you might prefer, but you should definitely give this one a look over, because the 3 to 4 shot stagger with the beam rifle is good if you can manage your coolant. And remember, guys, when you're using a beam weapon or anything that recharges, as long as it's that blue-gray, you're fine. But once you get to yellow, if you shoot it again or use it again, that's where you're going to run out. Alright, so when it comes to combos with this suit just still, the regular 1-2 still applies here. There's a lot of things that you should be mindful of when using guns that don't have immediate stun or stagger. Expect to be staggered before you stagger them, because a lot of times it'll happen. You know, you can easily just get your charge shot off and follow up with a forward or a neutral into your downswing, because remember, your downswing is actually a 2 swing, so you'll be able to do that, cancel out, and you should have enough time to downswing again if you're not slow in the process. The timing is very short, like most dash canceling, so you have to make sure you do it as soon as that second hit goes off, turn, and try to get it again. But yeah, that's pretty much it. The same thing goes with the sealant launcher here, because, you know, Haiku Shiki had an immediate stun access with its rifle. Not being a bazooka, it was a very quick swap. You can also start a combo with your sealant here and follow up with the combo as if it's your main rifle. In some cases, if you don't want to topple your enemy, you could easily just begin with a focus shot or your sealant launcher and just follow up. Hit them with the neutral and left or right, depending what side they are. But the neat thing about the downswing too is if you hit multiple people, you're gonna hit them multiple times. So keep that in mind as well. But aside from that, that's pretty much it. I think that'll wrap this video up. Overall, this suit is pretty fun. Is it my go-to suit at this cost? Not really. But the kit itself is pretty strong, but you'll start to come to the point where people will all have insta-stun or some crazy gimmick, so be mindful if you're running this suit. However, if you pull the suit, you should totally give it a run for its money, because I actually enjoy this suit when I've used it. Regardless of the focus shot being required, you can always swap that out with a bazooka if that's a big deal for you, but most of the time you have enough, maybe 2-3 seconds to charge that focus shot, release it, and follow up with your melees, or just shoot from afar. This is the kind of suit that you can just kind of poke away from to mid-range, and just wait for them to get closer, and use that ceiling launcher. Okie dokie, cool kids. If I forgot something, let me know. If I was incorrect, hey, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. Thank you for checking this video out. Thank you for taking the time. And, you know, until the next one, stay out of trouble and nothing but love. Peace.